Hey guys, this week's topic is paranormal activities, where we share our experiences with entities. And so some of my stories are kind of strange. I have one in particular that's very elaborate. I can sense spirits all the time, so I have many paranormal activities, but I'm just going to share some that really stood out to me. So one time I was just sitting at my computer Skyping with a friend, and behind me I heard some whispers and he had heard them too. And we had identified the whispers from entities that have passed, and in their former life they were an older man and a younger woman. So later that night I decided to whip out my nice microphone, and I would ask some questions and they would speak into the microphone. Some very creepy things happened there, because actually I will insert an audio clip now as of one of the creepiest things that I actually heard. So as you can tell, I have no idea where those laughs came from. The TV was not on, the radio was not on, nothing was playing. The laughs were pretty scary because I heard it like coming from the walls of my house. And I was Skyping my friend when I had recorded this, so he had heard them too, and it was very interesting, per se. Another thing that has happened to me recently was I had got up out of bed and I walked out of my room into the hallway. I suddenly got very dizzy, and literally in a split second I went from standing up to waking up, and I was on the floor of the hallway and my leg was scarred badly. My leg was resting right against the corner of the wall, and I have never remembered hitting the wall with my leg. I had never remembered falling down, and I'd apparently hit the wall fairly hard because I was almost bleeding. The skin was like kind of torn away. It was nasty. And so I later came to find out that I had had a hex laid on me, and I later reversed that with a reversal spell, but that's a whole different story. And saving the best for last, I have a long, elaborate story about an entity I had once met. To start off, this was before I had known about my spiritual self. I met this girl and I started dating her, and she introduced me to kind of the spiritual world, kind of ghost here, ghost there, and it was just kind of the typical ghost hunter kind of view on them. So she had lived right across the street from a school, and in the front schoolyard there was this little girl entity that was supposedly trapped in barriers inside the school courtyard. I later found out this wasn't true, as she started following her around and me. She eventually started calling me daddy and my girlfriend mommy. This really hit us hard because we found out that in her previous life her mom had abandoned her because her mom was a drunkard. And eventually this little girl entity disappeared. We had no idea where she went and we were super worried. So we later found that there was this malicious entity that was also following us around, watching the little girl. So later we found her, and when she showed herself, she was all bloody and was crying. She pointed on the street, and there was standing the malicious entity, insinuating that the malicious entity had taken her and had tortured her. We took her back lovingly and we named her Natalie. I later came to find out that my girlfriend had been hurting Natalie. She had basically been forcing Natalie not to show herself to me. I eventually left my girlfriend, and I met another girl that really threw me into Wicca and paganism and all this amazing spiritual stuff. She told me that I had somebody in my life that was manipulative, lying, and not just malicious, but downright evil. Later to find out it was my ex-girlfriend. And I tried to cut her out of my life, but I couldn't, as she kept talking to me and bothering me. And one bad idea of mine was that I eventually called her out for being evil, just because I was getting very frustrated with her. And she revealed to me that the malicious entity that has been following us around, he was named Charlie, and she was, for lack of a better word, working with him. So this new girl that had introduced me to Wicca had found out about Natalie. Natalie had by then followed only me around and had left my ex-girlfriend. So all these events started taking place that I will not mention because it is very personal between me and this new girl I'm talking about. We eventually found out that Natalie was part of the girl's childhood that she had lost. So Natalie went to meet the girl, and I saw her meet her one night when I was Skyping with her. So she went back to the girl and became part of her childhood again, and she had remembered everything that she had lost before. This new girl is the same girl I was talking about in the D&D Connection videos. I'm not going to release either of these girls' names as that is their personal information. So that's what I have to say about my paranormal activities, and until next week, guys, blessed be!